some in Karu, and there are some in Masaka. Why haven't we brought the company that sold them to us to come and work on those vehicles? Let's put them on the road first, and then we can begin to tell industry produce for this assembly. They are assembling in the country. It's okay. Let's give them money so that they make more money and they can put into research and can eventually manufacture. So let's try to fix the real issue instead of trying to rub oil on the surface so that we can have a wide sepulchre.
All right, Wilson. Yeah, very fantastic response in that approach. But in a way of moving forward, because we are trying to look at even the government are also looking at how we can move beyond having to rely more on the fuel. We've seen some CNG, attempts in respect to providing some of these buses, even when it's not really, we've not seen that good number of it working. Conversion, they've actually created some conversion centers for cars to, come in and convert their cars and all of that. But we're looking at how we can begin to sustain this, because it's more than some months now we've had these approaches, and on the grounds that government have removed subsidy, they said they will provide CNG buses for transportation. Is that really sustainable if that approach should go? And if it looks that we are running out of crude, because it also looks that the explanation of government is that we are out of crude. We do not even have sufficient crude to really have to rely on in respect to giving out to Dangote to refine. Does it look that is why they are afraid to also start our own refinery? Should it be that the fears of the incapacity of our crude, in terms of what is in our reserves, is also undermining the fast approach in operations of our own local refinery? Because it looks that there is a way communication is all right there. What do you make out of all of that?
Number one, let me start with the fear of the refinery and the possibility of inadequate crude. I'll start with that. Number one, if you know your problem, it is half solved. Right? We know that we have not even been producing up to our own OPEC quota. And what is the reason? Inefficiencies in our system, theft, bunkering, and all of these other issues. If we address this, it will significantly increase our production. I have always been of the opinion that if OPEC gives us quota, it means that is the amount of crude that we can put into the international market. It doesn't actually define to us how much we can consume within our own confines. So if we can fix these inefficiencies and ramp up production to meet OPEC quota and then produce enough for home processing, then it will put the country on the right path. It will not only improve our FX earning, it will also improve sustainability and availability within the country. Now, we have oil in abundance. We shouldn't be trying to pan away from oil anyway. What we need to do is how can we make this oil do what we want for us? And all of this hinges on corruption. The issue of gas, I will go back to gas, then come back to the crude oil and sum all of them together. The issue of CNG, where is the comprehensive strategy for encouraging this conversion beyond just creating center? It is one thing to create center. It is another thing to be able to find the gas to fill when you need to fill it. What is the impact of this conversion on our economy? Because it's going to put stress on the FX again. Because most of these conversion parts are imported, and you need dollar to import them. Even the cylinders and the rest, we are not producing them here. What is the comprehensive strategy and document that the government has put out there to say, okay, at this point in time, we'll just import. We will put XYZ gas filling stations in so locations. In the second phase, we are doing this. In the third phase, we want to do the cylinder here. In the fifth phase, we want to produce the conversion kits here and all of that. What talks are they with companies that can manufacture these things? What talks are they having with people that are already assembling vehicles within the country? These are the things that will make it sustainable. But the crown of it all is that every commodity is determined by demand and supply. So by the time we have enough number of vehicles using CNG, the same problem we have in PMS today will surface in CNG unless we arrest the root cause of all these problems, the corruption in the regime of all of this, our energy sector. We need to address it holistically. We need to take the bull by the horn. Otherwise, we will continue to pay lip service to these things, throw money on them, form committees, form any kind of forum and talk about it till tomorrow. The problem will remain the same.
Look at the implications now. This move, if fuel price or pump price is not reversed, what happens, particularly in the area of unemployment and employment, I beg your pardon, food prices, basically Nigeria's economy as a whole? What happens if there's no move, if we continue to see hiking pump price?
Well, what is going to happen is that a lot of small businesses will close down, and here is how it will happen. Number one, my business makes so much money that I can pay a staff at most 100,000 naira. But that 100,000 naira cannot even take the staff to work. Let's take, for instance, somebody who lives in Trademore, Abuja, and works somewhere in central area, Abuja. To get to office and come back will take that person about 2,500. And by the time you multiply that by 22 working days, you are already talking of about 50 to 60,000. If the man needs to eat in the morning and in the afternoon, which is standard, he cannot find any place to eat with less than 1,000 naira within that central area. So let's assume that he's very lucky and he finds something to eat at 1,000 naira. 1,000 times 2 is 2,000. Multiply that by 22 working days, you have 44. So at the end of the day, he has spent his 100,000 naira on just feeding and transport. So that work is not profitable to him because he cannot pay house rent, he cannot pay electricity bill, he cannot launder his clothes, he cannot pay for his children's fees. So the man will stop coming to work. And all other people within that cadre will stop coming to work because I, the company owner, cannot also increase their salaries. So since I don't have hand to run the company, what will I do? I close down. Those people are out of work. I am out of work. The government has lost revenue from my taxes and all other economic activities that I create both directly and indirectly. So that's what's going to happen. But again, let's look at food prices. It's going to keep soaring because transportation is a huge component of the cost of distributing food products in Nigeria. So if somebody is bringing in carrots from, say, Kebbi State or Sokoto, what would the lorries charge? And if you put them in Gulf, what would they charge? And plus all those informal taxes that are collected on the road by those who legally mandated to do so. So all of these things are issues. We don't have it at this point. If you put seafood or imported food from the WAF in Warri or Lagos to Sokoto, you put food items, grains, and the rest into that train from Sokoto to Warri or Lagos or Port Harcourt. And it makes sense, but we still don't have that. So it's going to have grievous beyond the reach of the average Nigerian. And that's going to have serious impact on us as a people and on the economy as a whole. If unemployment increases, what will happen is that social vices will also increase and crime will also increase. And it will come to a point that if we don't manage it very well, we'll have a dog-eat-dog situation in the country. God forbid that.
Forward now, how do you think that this issue? How do you think we can achieve a balance? How do we begin to look at the reversal of the pump price? How soon is it going to be, and how effective is it going to be if the move by the House of Representatives is considered?
I think that we should leave the fuel price where it is. let it. We have come this far. We have suffered. Even if you try to revise it, reverse the subsidy. I can tell you that when the subsidy was there, not many people were buying at the regulated prices. Maybe in Abuja, maybe in Lagos, maybe in Port Harcourt, main cities. But once you go to the suburb, people were selling at any price they want. So the subsidy was not 100% efficient. What I think we should focus on, and that the House of Rep and the National Assembly as a whole, and the State House of Assembly should focus on is public transport system, so that the use of private vehicle will become a luxury. It becomes optional. If you can wake up from your home this morning, you know that there is a small bus from your estate to the junction that is fairly priced. And when you get to the junction, you know that within the next 5 minutes, a decent bus will pull over, and you go and sit down, maybe be watching TV and listening to radio as you go to the city center, and even making new friends. Wouldn't you rather jump on it and you get to the city center, there are another taxis moving there at fair price and they are decent? Is it even possible for your company today to give you a card just to pay for your transport? And every month they refill the card. So we should go for things like that. Interstate transport system should also, where government should float a national transport company that is listed on the exchange, so that Nigerians who have money can invest in it and they can bring the best hand to run it. Then that is what we should do. That is what we should do, so that in the next establish a reasonable, our public transport system covers a reasonable landscape, and that can begin to impact the price of commodities immediately as the component of transport will reduce. And then another issue is to push back on insecurity. Insecurity is a huge problem. Push back on insecurity. And I wonder why this government has not talked about the low-hanging fruit in agriculture. It is not easy. It is not even possible for the government to provide security for every individual farmers in their farms. We all know what is happening in the northeast and the northwest, where farms have been taken over by bandits. You have to pay bandits before you harvest your crops and all of that. But if we have farm clusters in the 36 states to start with, maybe we can even start in the 6 geopolitical zones. Farm clusters, 10,000 hectares. You are farming a product that is core to us and that you have a comparative advantage. Personnel can be recruited by the government and trained specifically to cover these farms, so that when these farms are harvested, government buys them and redistribute them to the country. This would sincerely crash down the prices of food items in the country. And if we do this within 24 months, we can begin to see results. I am not saying it's going to be a walk in the park, but if you put the relevant team together, they can brainstorm and tell you the optimal way of achieving most of these things. Going back to subsidy, I don't think will be viable. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think the government is generating enough revenue to pay subsidy and still be able to.
All right, Mr. Wilson, a very fantastic approach. We also look at what you just mentioned of buses that will take people from one location to the other. And I may differ from that, because we look at the maintenance culture of this country. And the every 5 buses that you are mentioning, how many can we really count today that have served the people? You know, we've looked at that. It was just working as at the time, but I mean, we've not really had people again, seeing the usefulness of those buses, because it has not really met public demands. So it goes back again to issues of our maintenance culture. Even if we have to do that, so it looks that we can't. Public service and providing services is not really workable in the country. What Nigerians are really looking at is the ability for them to be able to have their own, to be able to afford their own and to be able to take care of their own. So in a way, prices of fuel, if we must continue to rely more on fuel, there must be something. I mean, they should do. There definitely must be an attempt, in reducing the price. But away from that, let's get to other issues. We've seen government in attempt to cushion the effect of this hardship. We've looked at the fact that, yes, we cannot go back to the subsidy regime. So it is now our welcome development. We are living with it right now. They have rolled out palliatives, to people. They have given rice. Nigerians are saying that it looks that government is just giving rice and bread. That is not really sustainable. And how long can you continue to give family rice to feed? We've seen 40,000 now bag of rice. How many Nigerians are having access to that? So there are all over time by government to get things done. What is the concern that over time government will continue to appeal on the conscience of Nigerians to exercise pensions? And the question that we keep on asking and having a concern is, what is the durability that some of these reforms the government is taking will actually have a good side of it? Because yes, government are making effort. On the other hand, to Nigerians, the effort of government is not visible. How do we begin to marry all of this? Because we must not resort to self-help. The reason why we have government was to continue to help people, in living their life, in terms of regulating prices, in terms of, subsidizing what probably must be subsidized, in terms of making lives and creating environment conducive for people to live. But what we are having in Nigeria as we speak today is that people are resorting for self-help, which is not sustainable. What approach do you feel should be done in terms of the short-term attempt in addressing all of these issues? Because government seems to have more longer approaches to these issues, like long-term approach to these issues. But it looks that we need a quick attempt to salvage the situation.
Well, basically, every government ought to have 3 sets of strategies or approaches or set of solutions. One, the short term, which is the immediate. Second, the medium term, which is in the next 2, 3, 4 years. And then the long term, which can even run into the next 50 years. Developed countries have this. That is why they have programs. These programs are funded statutorily. No president can change it. It is statutorily funded. That money goes there. And the best brains are put there to achieve that goal long term. We don't have that. If we do, Nigerians are not aware of it. Then, another thing is, if you have these plans, you need to be able to communicate it clearly to the populace so that each stakeholder will know their role in achieving this plan. As a media person today, what do you think that will do in order to help it achieve the long-term goal? Can you tell me that? Let alone ordinary Nigerians on the street. So our leaders have discounted the value of proper and adequate communication. So if you don't have a clear vision, how can you communicate the vision? And if you have a clear vision but unable to communicate it to your follower, how can they follow? So when you tell your people to have patience, they need to know for how long before things will get better. And the things that will get better, what is the return on this our patience? Where they are blinded to all of this and they can't see it, you are not telling them, you're not carrying them along, they will complain, they will grumble. And some of them, in an attempt for self-help, will sabotage you. That is why it is very important to always communicate. This is what we are doing. This is what we are going to do. This is how we hope it will work. This is the role you should play. Because I must tell you, it is not possible that the government thinks they can run things and make things work without the support and participation of the populace. This is what is missing. The direction of these government policies, so that when I'm on a platform like this, I can also educate Nigerians. I've been picking up things to read and all of that. And you see, and I urge the government to try and put these kind of things out. Okay, so that people can see it and they can buy into it. When you don't communicate, you don't get the buy-in of it. Look at your media, they will make sure that you, the critical staff, buy into it so that you know your role. so that you know what you must contribute in order for it to succeed. And when you succeed, all of you come together, have a party, and celebrate your success. This is what is missing in the country as of today. I don't know if I've covered most of the areas that I have left out. Please feel free to remind me so that I can talk on them.
Let's look at government. Probably government are speaking, and the Nigerian peoples are probably lacking trust in government. We've seen government comes and go. They keep on exercise patience. We'll do all of this, we'll do all of that. Good, fantastic manifesto. But we've seen in the past that nothing has been actualized. The last 8 years prior to this administration was we'll fight corruption, we'll bring change and all of that. So that those that are feeling that all of these have not really materialized, then how should we then have to have confidence on what government are saying now? Exercise patience. These policies are tough, but it will materialize. Do you think that it looks that the government have good intentions? Or do you feel that it will continue to be what we've had in the past, different promises, many promises, but zero results?
You see, one thing that the Nigerian populace have always failed to do is to ask how. A person comes and says, look, make me your leader, and I am going to make sure you have pounded yam, medicare, and white soup, vegetable, rich every day to eat. And we swallow it and we say, yay, this man because I go get pop belly. Oh, I will make it. Oh, I will enjoy food. The question is, have you asked the man how he's going to do it? The how is where the authenticity, the genuineness, and a real plan that is implementable is. If you don't ask how, people can make any promise. You can tell your girlfriend today, baby, I'm going to buy you a private jet. And she can run with it. The question is, how much is your salary? And how much is a private jet? If the lady asks you, okay, how are you going to buy a private jet? And you will say that you start stammering. And she will understand that you are not capable. And then she will find somebody who is capable. That is how it is with the electorate and the leaders. When they give us these lofty promises, what we need to do is to interrogate how. How will you do it? And what will be the timeline? Explain this to us in phases so that we can see the feasibility. I'm a business consultant and financial analyst, and I comment on public issues from time to time. Now, from my experience as a business consultant, there's what we call feasibility study. When you say you have a business idea, we ask the question, is this business feasible? By feasible means, what are the resources it requires? What size of market does it need? What are the infrastructures that can support it? What is the legal framework, environmental framework, political framework, technical? We go into all of this and we say, okay, is feasible? You can actually run it as a sustainable business. So we need to interrogate the promises of our leaders. If that from senator tells you, I'm going to build a bridge in your community, does your senator have the power to build a bridge? He's a legislator. These are things we don't interrogate. And these people know that we don't interrogate. We are carried away by fantasy. So they throw it to us, we shout, yay, and we vote. And then later we turn around and start crying when we know that they lack the capacity to deliver it.
Because I also understand that home must be communicated at all times. Government holds the people the responsibility of always communicating home. Just like we go to churches, the church and the mosque will tell you all will be well, you are blessed and all of that. So the assurances that you are already blessed and the all is already well, keeps us alive and keeps us going. So it's not out of place for all of these hopes to be communicated. But in terms of getting things done, in terms of the way forward, in terms of NNPC, I need to understand that they are serving Nigeria and not just themselves. In terms of, Dangote understanding that yes, you have to make profit as a businessman, but there's also a need of understanding that the environment and the people residing in that country, their lives is so much of importance, to all of this. We appreciate the reps for also calling on the federal government in a bid to call attention in respect to the fuel price. It's not palatable. Mr. Wilson, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Of course, we'll definitely have you again to further this conversation on the program.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I'm Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.